Yeah.
All 5 of them.
Wait, is that how many you have?
Oh my God.
There were 5 people waiting at one point.
Yeah, there was like.
Oh.
It said 5 waiting. I have no idea for live. It says live, so I'm gonna go with it says live.
Is it live on YouTube?
It's live now.
Yeah.
I see them. There are people. You are live. Yep.
Woo!
Man,
Hello,
how do you
everyone.
say stuff?
We're just figuring this shit
You're
out.
live.
All right, Chris. Well, you're moderating this.
Yeah. Ask us any questions, I guess. This is Matt. I'm Shane.
Yeah.
This is obviously our coming out party. Out of the audio closet.
As we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
So Chris, this is actually going to be a second part of your interview with the Wall Street Journal. We're going to take it up here. We're going to finish it for you. And we're going to ask you the most important question that wasn't asked in the interview. Do you wear pants while you record?
Oh, heck yes. I'm fully clothed.
I've always noticed it's from here up. So I was like, I wonder how many times where he's just like,
Stretching out.
I guess you would never know, would you? I don't show shoulders like Dave. But
yeah, I was going to say, you in the film junkie dude. Yeah, you guys always do from up here, so who knows? He goes shirtless. Just imagine what he does when he has the shirt on.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's pretty naked sometimes. Nah, I don't know.
Hey, whatever you do, whatever you have to do to get comfortable.
Should I even care about?
Right?
See, these are the important topics that people need to discuss.
Exactly.
Right.
And we're here to discuss them.
Oh, shit. Okay, Chris. Well, thanks a lot for Chris Wong-Swenson being on our little live podcast we're doing today. This is our
exciting stuff.
Coming out party. This is a recording. As you can see, I'm fat. Shane's got a head of a 50-year-old man.
Exactly. I got some hair. The lighting's terrible though. Thanks, Matt.
Blame the lighting. Blame the lighting.
It's like bouncing off my forehead. Just fantastic. Yeah, so here we are. You get to see our faces in all their beauty, and I guess match the face to the audio. Yeah, face to the names and to the audio.
And we're shilling our shirts that cost way too much.
Yeah, exactly. There's a reason we haven't put these out.
Wait, so it's Matt and Shane, but what's Marks? I thought you guys were called.
Okay, so if for people that actually follow wrestling, it's a wrestling lingo. It's a slang for like smart fan.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And so we still kind of do some wrestling stuff every once in a while, but we were doing wrestling and movie stuff. So we just thought it'd be a kind of a cool little tie-in of comic, movie, and then Marks, meaning smart fan.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it was. We're not very creative.
No. For the longest time, I was like, maybe they're called Marks. One of them's called Mark. Oh, nope. They introduced themselves as different names.
That's actually, yes, if we were both named Mark.
There's a swerve right there.
Plus, it also worked really well because we would call it CMM, and it looks like CNN.
Yeah.
And we used to have a tag of the least trusted people in movies or something like that instead of the most trusted nudes or some shit. It would be shit like that. So that's what that was kind of the genesis of it all. Plus, yeah, it looks kind of cool, I think. I don't know.
Right. No, it looks good. Nice shirts.
Yeah, it cost way more than this fucking microphone.
Oh, shit.
That's what happens when you get like 100% cotton, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And go through almost a retailer as opposed to a wholesale site. We figure it out.
Right.
Yeah, well, eventually we are going to talk about movies, but let's keep talking about the shirts.
Yeah.
Yes. Justice League shirt. No.
Seriously, man.
Nice.
Oh, but again, thanks, Chris, for coming on here, man.
Absolutely.
We really do appreciate it. We really do appreciate that you're coming on our rinky-dink little program.
To
check us out. We recently kind of discovered you and Dave from Film Junkie and Film God kind of recently.
Yeah.
Not so recently, but when we started doing this, we really didn't know much about this like community that was on this Zack Snyder side. We didn't know anything about you guys. And
it actually took us a while, I think, to find, or everyone to find us and us to find everyone else. You know, it was kind of interesting. We were just trying to carve our own niche, and then all of a sudden we started seeing more and more people who think a lot like us.
Yeah,
which is a scary sight, but
we we were getting comments and stuff like, "Oh, you guys should check out Chris Wong or Film Junkie or Film God and stuff like that." And we're like, "Oh, well, okay, yeah, might as well start checking them out." And yeah, it was like I made a one reference like it's like this big party was going on this whole time, and we're like the late assholes that come in with no beer.
Yeah, exactly.
No, no, I think you guys do great content. I was actually someone in my comments told me to check you guys out and see some of your videos, and I love what you guys do. I like how you add in these little videos in between comical videos, and it's different from talking heads. And I actually enjoy that difference, and it's very entertaining, the stuff you pull out, and I really dig your whole Richard Donner thing. I think you guys did awesome, great work on that, and it really opened up something to a lot of us. So, great job.
Well, that was just something that was real crazy to me that like I started noticing some similarities, and I remember Shane and I were just talking about it, like, and like the more you dig into this, like it's just almost the same damn story. It's almost the same story.
Just repeating years later.
Yeah, 30 years ago.
Blows us away.
And so it was like, all right, well, we just got to keep digging, and we find more and more stuff. We're like, this is crazy. I mean, it may even be more similar to a lot of directors that have issues in movies in general, because this is, if you have something that like was taken away from you, your baby, your director's cut, and a studio warps it. I mean, that may happens to a lot of directors, but it was just kind of interesting that it was, the Donner cut itself, how it was brought upon us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And all of the similarities, obviously the obvious ones with Warner Brothers kind of being
the character Superman.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot that kind of went into it, and we're like, what the hell? This is weird, and obviously history, unfortunately, repeating itself. But I think there's a lot of good things that came out of Justice League. In hindsight, the fact that we were able to really see the difference, and there wasn't just this subtle blend of like, okay, what was Zack Snyder and what was Joss Whedon. I think we're fortunate that there were so drastic changes that as us fans, the three of us and everyone else that's a part of this community, we're like, what the hell is going on here? Like this isn't our movie. And so I think in a way it kind of worked out for the best, as opposed to it being another, BVS comparison where it's just chopped to shit. Joss Whedon throws in his stuff, and then we really don't know. The fact that we had the mustache gate, the fact that you could kind of see the color changing between the trailers, a lot of things that went into it to where we could really go, holy shit, these are two separate things completely.
Right. And you're right. I mean, I can't recall any other movie that has been hacked up this much.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like completely different. Like they did a rush job in 6 months to change it into something it's not, instead of, starting from scratch or whatever. But and with the social media nowadays, everybody's connecting to each other, finding little bits and pieces. Oh my God, how much reels are out there. Jesus. I mean, like it's just phenomenal, crazy, and blows it wide open. And I think more people are aware of it, and more even the media would be more aware of it now. But hopefully we get some kind of resolution. That's all we want.
Yeah, seriously, with all these clips that have come out, like I made a joke in like our last video. Like, in like 2020, we might have enough little pieces to make a Snyder cut.
Yeah,
if these little pieces just keep coming out. It's insane how much these little reels keep coming out. And I kind of made a reference a while back to like, this reminds me a lot of that Deadpool test footage that came out, and like people watched that, and it got us a Deadpool movie because of the overwhelming reaction to that. And that was leaked, no one quite admit to it. Ryan Reynolds always goes like, I don't know who did it.
And he was part of it. Him and the director.
I'm not the one who just put it out there. Like, hey, give it to me. I'll make it seen.
But you see like, these VFX companies and all these people that worked on this stuff, like all these little bits that just keep coming out. And it's like the little feeders or something. Somebody, I feel like somebody somewhere.
That's the weird part, is the fact that it is continuing. And it's almost like small teases. That there will be a space of like nothing that comes out, and we're like, okay. And then all of a sudden, boom, something else jumps out, and we're like, okay, there's more stuff, like the Star Labs snippet that just got leaked out. It's really weird. It makes me wonder who's doing this. Why is it just coming bits and pieces at a time? And then I think the Cyborg one that we got recently was probably one of the more important ones because it shows the overlay of the fact that, hey, this could be further along than we really think.
We realize it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely the big one, the cyborg football one. And then it got removed by WB, which is even more telling.
Exactly.
Right.
And it makes you think, just like how Fox removed the Deadpool test footage, where they tried to anyway.
Yeah, they tried.
And it was just spread out so much. So again, you get this footage and you're looking at it, you're like, what the fuck?
What
all right?
the hell?
It's almost there. It's almost there. We just need a little bit more. And the way that Star Labs one was shot, it feels like it's supposed to be somebody looking at a security camera. I don't know. The way I was looking at it, I was like, that's like maybe that Cyborg looking at a security camera, making sure people get out of the way or something, or because he's jacked into the ship. Maybe at that moment when Soups gets resurrected, I was like, that's like security cam footage or something. That's interesting as hell. And I don't know why WB decided to restrict themselves so much. As you see these clips, it's like they were struggling to get this movie down to the bare minimum. The bare minimum.
And that's essentially what we got with Justice League. Even, and I've seen it again recently. I think Matt has as well on HBO, and you watch it and you're like, okay, this is the epitome of just being a super basic superhero film. And they didn't please any audience. They didn't please the MCU fans who thought this is what they wanted, and they didn't please the Snyderverse fans. So it's like, all right, congratulations.
See what that happened there. Yeah, I talked to John Aaron Garza over at DC Films Hub podcast yesterday, and we did a podcast, and he said exactly what you said. It looked like a security cam footage when shot, unless that was just behind the scenes, and the actual shot was closer or panned out or whatever. What's interesting is the tone of that colors, the red lighting. Now, I didn't see the actual reel, but did that Superman eye lighting up comes right after that, or did someone just plug that in there to make it look like it was the same scene?
After what I've seen, I think someone just plugged that in there because a lot of the stuff that I was seeing first was just the Star Labs part.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I started seeing, and the rumor that was coming out of, this was supposed to happen earlier in the film. It was supposed to be them in the building when Superman resurrects. There was a couple other things that kind of pieced that together. Then I started seeing the Superman, his eyes.
Right, I see. I see. Okay.
Well, what we see in some of that deleted footage that came out a long time ago with like Ascended Ancient or whatever, I forget who leaked that stuff.
Oh, yeah. What happened to him?
A long time ago, there's a very slight shot where Cyborg turns and looks, and we're pretty sure he's looking at Silas, because Silas actually helped them get inside from the rumors that we know anyway. And I can actually do air quotes now because I'm in video.
You're doing behind the camera. You couldn't see it.
and he kind of does this glance. There's a video where Cyborg turns, looks, nods, and I think he's looking at Silas. And from what I understand from the information we did get, if it is true, is that Silas is trying to get all the other scientists out of there because they knows what's about to go down. And then that explosion happens, and I think that's just further footage showing Silas trying to get those other Star Labs scientists out of the area. So, and the one thing about Mark McClure, I started thinking about it a little bit more, but he was talking about how his part was near the beginning of the film, and I'm wondering if he meant his part was near the beginning of filming.
Yeah,
I wondered if that's
about that too.
Yeah, I was wondering maybe he meant that. Like maybe they shot that scene very early on. Yeah, because they don't shoot this stuff in order. I mean, Zack is kind of Zack Snyder. I'm not on a first name basis.
Yo, Zack.
He's kind of what we've been able to tell anyway with Jay Oliva is that he's not necessarily the most traditional film. He doesn't traditionally shoot things the same way as everybody else does. Yeah. As Jay Oliva put it, he doesn't make his movie in the edit bay. He makes his movie there. And so I don't know if he actually followed a chronological timeline or not, or maybe he just shot that scene first or early on, the suit scene. That's kind of what I was thinking, was maybe he meant it was shot early on in filming is what I started thinking about.
Yeah, it could be. It's really hard to tell with a lot of the cast and some of the things that have come out. It almost really, it does make you wonder the structure of how the film is supposed to be. All of us are thinking of how it was release in theaters. But there's a chance. I mean, you know, it could have been completely rearranged, and maybe there was less things that happened, and the Soup's resurrection was closer to the beginning. You know.
Well, my original idea was that the Snyder Cut's so damn long, hopefully, that maybe it does feel like it's in the beginning of the movie because it's only like 45 minutes into a 3-hour cut.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. 3 hours, 3.5 hours, or whatever. I don't know how long it is.
So it'll feel like it's in like a first act because it's within the first hour, probably. Maybe, possibly. If at all.
You know, I never said this before, but you know that scene at the beginning, in the intro where the credits roll, where you see Lois visiting the memorial.
Yeah.
What if that was? I'm believing that Joss Whedon cut that intro because I think what the intro was supposed to be either the history scene or you know, Bruce Wayne out trying to find Aquaman. So if he had cut that scene where it's like a montage of Superman, maybe that Lois scene visiting Memorial was around the exact same time Superman came out. If from what Dave said, that Mark McClure's character was driving her around, and he had her with him to the memorial scene, and then right after to when Superman Resurrection. So I'm wondering if they cut that part where she's visiting his memorial scene from the resurrection scene and plugged it into the front. I don't know. I'm just guessing at that point.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that we got Mark McClure's
audio.
Well, no, I mean his what is that cameo?
In
the trailers, it's there. He gets saved by Cyborg from a burning Hummer,
right?
And there's a scene there, but kind of what you're saying, that would be kind of interesting because there's one of the early trailers that shows that footage of Lois turning like over her shoulder, looking back at something, and she's in that same kind of whatever suit that she was
a trench coat or something.
Yeah. The same one that she does show up to eventually to the to Heroes Park. So it'd be kind of interesting if she's like heading back and Mark McClure's police character is the one that picks her up and brings her there instead of Alfred running in the big guns.
Yeah, exactly. That was rumored at one point.
So that would make a little bit of sense. That would make a little bit of sense. And maybe that after everything, maybe, I don't know. Yeah. And it's crazy just piecing all this shit together.
Yeah.
I mean, someday, hopefully, we'll get the cut.
I have a feeling that it's going to be completely different from what any of us...
I'm going to laugh my ass off if it's funny.
Yeah.
If like all this speculation, all this crap that everybody's talked about is not even freaking close.
But in a good way.
Where
you're like, holy shit, wait, that was there. And,
it got around here and there, but like we're trying to piece this all together. Like, where would this insert here? Where would this insert here?
Right.
Yeah, like one of the things that I've always been really like, where did that really come in play? Is that one not leaked. Actually, Zack Snyder posted that on his Vero account of Gal Gadot doing the ADR work, and it shows at the top 209. And I've always been wondering if that really is a legitimate timestamp of his cut.
Yeah,
is she talking to somebody at 2 hours and 9 minutes? She's literally talking to someone after the movie ends.
I mean, that was this from looking at the trailers. That was a scene where she's actually talking to Bruce, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's what it seems like is when she first talks to Bruce when he's fixing the Flying Fox, I think they're calling it.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's 2 hours. That's not. That's what makes me think. That's what makes me think it's not a timestamp because there's no way. There's no way. That's so early on in the movie.
It could be his timestamp, of how he pieces things together. Like you said, things get shot out of order.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to speculate and kind of figure out. Again, our mindset right now is how the theatrical film actually played out, but there's a chance that none of that was really pieced together the same way.
Oh, if you watch the theatrical cut now, though, it's like your eyes. I mean, I seriously now know how it feels to be a conspiracy theorist guy.
Right?
Yeah.
like I'm not much into conspiracy. Sorry if you are, but you feel like when you see comments like people saying it doesn't exist or blah 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 or whatever and all this stuff, it's like open your eyes, sheeple. All right, it's right there in front of you. You don't understand because you're blinded by the man. You know?
Yeah. Exactly. Like Jeff Johns and a lot of the stuff that's coming out. That people are saying, oh no, Jeff Johns, he was, you know, behind the whole thing, and he was really trying to bring it all down. That's really what it seems like. And in some aspects, you look at it like, okay, that's a huge possibility, you know. And again, as Matt said, I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist either, but so many things are pieced together where you're like, huh, this is as close as it gets as to people really trying to just thrash an entire universe almost and really kick someone out. So
it's crazy to me to like when you see the reaction to people and you're like, you got this information in your head, like you've seen this, you've looked really hard. Like I think it was Stephen Colbert, the guy for Screen Rant, the writer.
Yeah.
He actually had a tweet coming out saying like, that Wall Street Journal article taught you anything new, then you haven't been paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was his tweet, and I was like, that perfectly describes it. Like we didn't need to do a 50-minute video.
But alas,
it was an enjoyable 50-minute video. I watched that one.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah.
Well, you're one of two.
Yeah. Oh, no. But it's interesting you said that because now I don't know when that sci-fi podcast is coming out. I've been checking. This last video was podcast was the George Takei one, but I feel like when I was talking to them, I feel like they were taken aback by how it could be something else. Like they literally said, "Well, what is Zack Snyder did? What if Zack Snyder comes out and says that cut in the theater is better than mine? What would you say?" I'm like, well, I don't think he's going to say that, but it's, I mean, if he does, that'd be interesting, but you know, then okay, fine, but I don't think so. And it seemed like they didn't know how much was Zack Snyder's cut, or they didn't go into research about how much the cut we believe is actually much different from what's in the theater. So like you said, I think Wall Street Journal just didn't bring anything new. And a lot of people out there, including the larger mainstream media, can't see anything past what the Wall Street Journal sees. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, very sad. The stuff that pisses me off the most is when people say, what makes you think that Zack Snyder's cut is any different than the theatrical release? Or that there were minor changes. Like, have you seen the Zack Snyder film? Just one. It doesn't have to be. Does not have to be in the DC universe. Look at 300. Look at Watchmen, and tell me that that's exactly the film that he would have wanted. That's the stuff that fires me up. Where I'm like, you guys, you're just blinded by
conspiracy.
Exactly.
Blinded, man.
Yeah.
It was interesting for me when we first watched Justice League. Not only does that first thing you see is the Superman footage.
Oh yeah.
But then like I knew right actually the big turning point for me, surprisingly, when I knew this just did not feel like a Zack Snyder movie, is when Batman is trying to fight that criminal, and the criminal shoots the little water tower, and the water comes squirting down on his face.
Oh yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I'm like,
yeah,
this is not going to go the way we thought it's going to go. Because I was like, that is not something that's cartoonish one. So that's like something you see out of Looney Tunes or some shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's just not. And the way Batman's moving right now, the choreography doesn't look very good. I don't really like that beginning scene. I'm like, this is just this movie right off the bat with the Superman scene, and then the next scene right after that is just wow. Yeah. And even that little slow montage in the beginning with the music playing in the background, I'm like, that still kind of doesn't really make sense, because it's like they're trying to build up this thing that like people are losing hope because Superman's gone, but like you don't. It feels like that should have been like way in the middle of the movie or something, like before Supes is resurrected. I don't know. It just didn't feel like they quite earned that idea yet, that things were going haywire and shit because Supes wasn't around.
I think that was one of the biggest letdowns, is we didn't get to really feel that shit's hitting the fan. And in the trailer, that was one of the things that I was mostly looking forward to, is the fact that shit's hitting the fan. Where are the superheroes? Ever since Superman's gone, no one has hope anymore. Crime's risen. I can't remember the exact line, but it was something that, you know, they've seen an increase in crime because Superman is no longer there. And you don't get that feeling at all. And I think that montage was supposed to fill that part in. It does feel a little bit like a Snyder thing to me, based on some of his other films. Exactly. But at the same time, you kind of, I don't know if it's the color grading or the way some of it's a little corny. I don't know. It almost doesn't feel like
They almost tried to copy that Watchmen thing where the slow-mo where the guy kicks that a vegetable whatever crate.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, look, they're trying to make it like that, but then not really. But and I remember, you know, that where you talked about the Batman part. The first time when I says something's wrong with this is when he's flipping and then he twirls around the guy's twirls around him, the bad guy, and knocks him down. I was like, that looks like Black Widow. Like that's what Josh shot with Black Widow, doing that twirl thing and taking him down. I was like, wait, that's a Black Widow move. That's not, you know, it's different from the warehouse scene.
Yeah, exactly.
The brutalness of the warehouse scene. Yeah.
He didn't feel physically dominating, and then like of course the dialogue with that cat burglar or whatever the hell he is, that robber, is like so stupid.
That's the other thing that pisses me off is the fact that I've seen people say, "Oh no, that is a Zack Snyder scene." I'm like, there's no fucking.
That is so forced.
No,
it's
yeah,
like,
it is.
The parademon blows up, magically makes 3 symbols. Like I think we made the joke, like they literally had to paint a picture for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, that was with the Aquaman part. Where Bruce looks over and there's just for some reason on this random wall it shows Aquaman and like the 3 mother boxes and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like I think it was you that said that they literally had to paint a picture on the wall for people to understand what the hell was going on.
Yeah. You know, we never tried. Maybe we should try that on Vero. Put down and says, "Hey Zach, how was it like directing that opening scene with the burglar?" See if he's like says what burglar or something. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. You know, it's like you said, what Russian family? Seriously, what Russian?
I'm pretty sure though that the guy that did play the burglar did come out and say that was a Whedon scene, and like originally it was really.
I remember,
it was like slapstick or something. I don't know.
That was shocking.
Yeah.
Batman was going to trip over something and accidentally run into his crotch and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Instead of running into his boobs.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, yikes.
It was just. It's still crazy to me how much like people don't completely like if you're gonna make a comment about something like on our comments and stuff, like we just got one recently, like until I see it, it doesn't exist, and I'm like, and you see all these little scenes and stuff, I'm like, dude, you can tell by the tone that there's just a whole nother movie out there. Like when I was watching it on HBO, I noticed like this really big jump cut that I never really noticed before, but when Cyborg shoots Soups with like kind of that blue, I don't know if it's like a freeze ray or something, and then Cavill gets that weird look on his face. It like immediately jumps to Wonder Woman throwing the lasso on him. Like it doesn't even show what the ramifications of that blast was.
Oh, I didn't even know.
It's like a huge jump. Like they cut something out major that was supposed to happen right about there.
Yeah,
it does nothing. Cyborg is just doing something else. Apparently, he's off to the side, and that's when Wonder Woman throws the lasso and she's trying to pull him. And he just pulls back. And like it just immediately jumps to that.
Weird.
And I was like, wow, they cut something big right
there. That
there.
doesn't surprise me because even though that is probably the best scene in the movie, it's chopped to shit, and you have that stupid "tell me, do you bleed?" and he hugs Batman. You have some Joss Whedon elements in there. So that's I think what's ultimately frustrating is even though it's a badass scene, everyone knows that largely that is Zack Snyder. You can tell obviously by Cavill's face, and yet it still is chopped to shit and Joss Whedon's.
Yeah. Well, it got cut short. I mean, it got cut short. He headbutts Wonder Woman, then you could tell like jump again, and they got to introduce Batman, and he says, "I remember you," and it zooms in on that face, and you're like, why would you zoom in on a poorly CGI face?
Yeah.
Pan out on that shit.
Yeah. That's probably why they couldn't pan out too much. It's like you don't want to see what's also he's literally just shooting his face with that little probably what they had to put it like a saran wrap on his face so that it pushes the mustache down and they can.
I mean, they had like tape and everything. I would love to see the behind the scenes.
Oh man,
I would. Yeah.
I don't think he could ever play Superman again. But after that, it would be funny to see his face just shrink wrap down. That would be pretty freaking funny if we saw that. But
yeah.
I'm trying to read some of the comments as we're talking.
So you got more than one?
That is hard, man. It just keeps going on.
But someone put Ray Fisher's quote today. Twitter quote.
I saw
today.
that.
We missed that one.
Yeah.
It's a
I just woke up like 20 minutes before we got here.
If I can find it. I'm gonna try to find it if I can post. Okay.
Yeah, and then
Okay, well, he put it on Vero. Okay, so it's from somewhere. The author is Veronica A. Schaafstal. It says comes. The title is called "Comes the Dawn." You mind if I just read it off?
yeah,
Go ahead.
So it's just it's like a poem. After a while, you learn the subtle difference between holding a hand and chaining a soul, and you learn that love doesn't mean leaning, and company doesn't mean security. And you begin to learn that kisses aren't contracts and presents aren't promises. And you begin to accept your defeats with your head up and your eyes open, with the grace of a woman, not the grief of a child. And you learn to build all your roads on today, because tomorrow's ground is too uncertain for plans, and futures have a way of falling down in mid-flight. After a while, you learn that even sunshine it burns if you get too much. So you plant your own garden and decorate your own soul, instead of waiting for someone to bring you flowers. And you learn that you really can endure, that you really are strong, and you really do have worth, and you learn and learn. With every goodbye, you learn. So that's kind of a foreboding. It's
Deep, man, that's deep.
Yeah.
I think what he's trying to say is we need to film our own Justice League movie.
it's working.
If we're gonna do this, we're gonna have to.
We're just gonna have to find the scripts. Leak the script.
You know, that's
James
not
got a Superman costume.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, I'm sure it doesn't fit me much anymore, but you know, you know, Zack Snyder has shot a small film with an iPhone. So if he can do it, then I'm sure he can film anything with an iPhone. Is my point. So let's just get him. We'll try to fundraise.
And he should just call it something else. Like just completely name it something else. Like, yes, this is the new film that I came out with, like called Lustus Weed. Or something. And just like it'll be all those missing scenes. And he's just recording that. And he's just got, I don't know, maybe his kids or something.
I'm sure it'll be epic. If he could do stuff, if he could film a small, whatever, audio-less movie, essentially.
Yeah, with no CMR.
Exactly, and make it badass, then I'm sure he could do it. Justice League.
Yeah.
I was wondering, maybe he means Cyborg. He's no longer possibly Cyborg contract's gone or something. Of course, I mean, the title of the poem's called Comes the Dawn, you know. But when you actually read
the last good movie he was in.
Yeah. For that little snippet that we got.
They didn't even use for Justice League.
If all the rumors are true, with the amount of, and I truly believe that they are, with the amount of the fact that Cyborg was supposed to be the heart of this film, you got to feel for Ray Fisher, man. Like that, the fact that this could have been his big break. Yeah. And a director saw this in him, saw this in the character, and then ultimately it got chopped to shit and basically shot all over. It's disappointing. And if and when the Snyder Cut does come out, I will be furious if this turns out to be the case. And I'm sure Ray Fisher would as well, because you know, you're leaving so much potential out there, and there are glimpses of his acting ability. The fact that it's just half of his face most of the time, and you could still feel emotion in that, and the rest is CG. It really makes you wonder, and you know, infuriates you, the fact that it was chopped to shit. Yeah, very unfortunate. Right, you got more questions on those? Yeah, your thoughts on Matt Reeves' Batman film?
Ours or Chris's? I guess.
Let's start with Chris.
Yeah, Chris, tell us all this information.
Well, that's the funny thing. I mean, there was a big update, quote unquote big update, but it really didn't tell us anything more than we kind of already knew.
Yeah, just that a lot of the things that have been reported were wrong.
Yeah,
that's kind of like not year one.
Yeah, it's not year one.
Affleck is still included.
Affleck is in conversation, but not knowing what capacity he's going to be. But it's not like he didn't say, "Oh, there's no Ben Affleck," you know, or whoever is going to. It's just basically what I got from it was that it's still the detective noir story. Batman's it's not an origin film. you know, check. And it's going to be a personal story. So, you know, there's theories going around about Court of Owls, sure, whatever. And then, and the big one is that it's still going to be connected to the DCEU.
Yes.
It's not a different label like the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. That's a different DC label. This is part of the DCEU. So, and he called it a DCEU. So,
yeah, that world.
yeah. So,
the world. How stupid! Like
at first, when I saw that on San Diego Comic-Con, there was like, "Oh, it's called Worlds." It's like, "Oh, it's called Worlds DC," and you looking at it as, "Oh, that's just a banner. They're just welcoming the audience to the worlds of DC."
Have you never seen marketing before? And like, oh, welcome.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of Marvel. Oh, it's called World of Marvel.
Well, they had TV there because they were talking about Krypton as well. So that's not part of the DC. Right? So it's the worlds of DC. It's pretty freaking simple.
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that Stream ran, which I shouldn't have been surprised, but the fact that they ran with that,
everybody did.
Yeah, they were the first one that I saw, and then all of a sudden it just started, you know, snowballing from there. I'm like, holy shit! Where are you getting this? Was there a pamphlet handed out there that said, "Oh, this is now what we're calling it"? It was literally just the banner. That was it. It blows my mind the way that people, especially bloggers and you know so-called news outlets, piece things together just for clicks.
All the cool things we got out of Comic-Con, and they got to talk about some made-up fucking banner.
Yeah.
That was like, come on, man. So many things happen at Comic-Con. You got to make up news about a banner. That was and then people are still calling it like that's still some people are holding on to that.
Yeah,
like, right. Oh, it's Worlds of DC.
I've seen Instagram pages change their handles now to be Worlds of DC on Instagram or whatever.
I know they gotta change it back.
Yeah, exactly. Wait.
I'm gonna wait 90 days.
Yeah,
wait 90 days before we change. You know, that's the one thing I wish DC just would do. Like, you know, Jay Oliva's out there knocking people down for the stupid things they say. You know, James Wan also, you know, has been out there, even David Sandberg, but somebody, the head, either Jim Lee or somebody, I think that's right? Is that his name?
Jim Lee, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Or, I mean, and I don't expect like Walter coming up, but somebody, you know, in the upper echelons there to come out and be like, you know, this World of DC thing, no, we're not branding World of DC, just stop. You know, like, we need official stuff, and it just feels weird that WB is like so reluctant to give official things, and that's like one of the things with that Wall Street Journal article that really annoyed me. It's like, oh, some senior executive, said
senior executive, what, the janitorial department?
Exactly.
There's so many senior executives out there of every department.
Sadly, that senior executive of the janitor department probably makes more than we do. Probably.
Yeah,
me myself included.
On that point, and I am going to give Marvel props and Disney ultimately. What they have done is they branded themselves incredibly well. It's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You see it all over the place, and they've had a plan, and they kind of stuck to that. It sucks. Yeah, it sucks to be on the other side, and things just get changed constantly. And
it's just a desire to have it like at Marvel, though.
Right.
Why does DC have to have a brand? I mean, yeah, it helps overall in the branding and your marketing and stuff.
Absolutely.
It does in that, but at the same time, they don't have to have
it. And they don't have to just to be Marvel, but just for the rest of us to know what the fuck we're calling it.
And call whatever you want.
And to have some sort of
we
pretty much labeled it. We labeled it ourselves. The fandom labeled it DC.
That's right. There you go. We made it ourselves. Yeah. They're just kind of running with it. And hell, even like Zachary Levi says DC. You know,
everyone does, but there's such a lack of branding, in my opinion, and kind of putting it out there to say, we don't know what the Joaquin Phoenix Joker film is going to be a part of.
We know it's called Joker.
Yeah, that's about it. But nothing has literally, nothing has been put out there to say, all right, here is our alternate universe, and here is our main universe. This is what you're supposed to call them. For us, we get it. We understand it because we are so deep into the DC film lore and all these characters. But if you take a step back and there's a general audience and they're supposed to somehow piece these together and really understand what is going on, what films I'm supposed to watch first or whatever. And I don't think that they should follow a strict timeline of anything. I don't think it should be like Marvel in that sense at all. I just think you're doing yourself a disservice by not branding different worlds, or at least your main universe needs to be branded somewhat, and to say, hey, this is all of these are together, and then this Joker film over here is not, or whatever other films that they decide are separate. These ones are going to be separate. Now everyone's just going to be even more confused because there's no direction, there's no branding, there's nothing to say, hey, this is exactly, here's what it is. So for us, we'll be able to understand it, the people who are really in it, but for the general audience, I think they'll be confused.
Yeah.
That's kind of my opinion.
Yeah. But
Batfleck Forever says, you guys don't look like what I expected. But I'm not.
What did you expect?
I don't know. I don't know how to take that.
Oh man, look at that! You want to count the hairs on my head here?
Yeah.
You see that gap right there?
It's just we're fine with it.
I mean, come on, you had to get this by now. I mean, we've started out a bunch of things. I think the Wall Street Journal article I started out with, like, we're 30-year-old balding men that have no fucking clue what we're doing on YouTube.
Yeah.
Not a prime example of what 30-year-old balding men look like.
With the help of Chris, we were able to at least get this far, so you can see our lovely faces.
Oh yeah, this is why we limited video. See, we saved you guys.
Oh shit! Close.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's so awesome. That's funny. That's funny.
With that,
you guys sound like you guys been doing this forever, though. I mean, when I first listened, it was like, wow, you guys are professional.
Well, we did.
Like, I feel like you're.
We did podcast for a while. That's what we were doing. We were doing like a podcast stuff, and we would just throw one picture up on YouTube or two pictures or something, and it was like an hour long. And that, we didn't really focus on YouTube at all. Really, we were trying to do podcast stuff. And eventually the actual podcast hosting part of it got a little pricey.
Yeah.
And I think it was like sometime last year or like late last year. I think we decided to, we started getting a little bit of people following us on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we're generating, I think we were like at 150 subscribers at the time. And we were like, all right, you know, maybe we're it's costing us to do podcasting, and it doesn't cost us shit to do anything on YouTube. You know, we use Movie Maker, and we use Audacity. I mean, it's all free software and shit.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like, you know, we both kind of made a decision at the time. It was sometime last year, just start focusing strictly on YouTube,
specifically for the amount of downloads that we were getting for podcasts versus views on YouTube. And granted, obviously, not everyone is going to watch your full video. There's analytics that we have to look at and really follow. But when you compare the two, our downloads were staying stagnant for doing it for 2 years roughly, and then our YouTube, we were starting to see growth. We were starting to see people comment and actually, you know, reach out
to
us.
Family members.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you have family members looking out. I'm like, I have no family members watching.
Oh, no, we don't anymore. That was just like a pity thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yes.
They're like, hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Exactly.
Good video. Thumbs up.
Yeah, exactly.
Video, your first likes. And then they're like, what happened to them? They unsubscribed.
Right, yeah, exactly. It was incredibly hard to get freaking iTunes reviews. We were pushing that so hard because we noticed that the more iTunes reviews you can get, the you know, higher up the chain and the more people are going to see you, and it was difficult. Oh. We did some giveaways for iTunes reviews.
I gave away 2 games.
No.
For like one shit. It's rough.
Oh, that's rough, man. Damn.
Yeah, you know, we just weren't getting any iTunes reviews. Nothing was happening with that. Yeah, so we just kind of switched over to YouTube predominantly, and just now we're just having fun with YouTube. And basically, like, the little clips that we put in is just like I listen to our audio as I'm editing it, and just whatever pops in my head. Yeah. I put a little gap and I just insert the video I think would be funny right there.
It is. No, it is. It's totally freaking hilarious.
There's no planning. We don't really plan shit at all, really.
Yeah.
Like, we format some things sometimes, but really we don't. Really? And I just listen to it, and I just, whatever movie clip I can think of that just pops in my head, and I just insert it there. And that's it.
Yeah, perfect.
That's the genius of our videos.
That's perfect. Oh, it's perfect. Well, your videos match up real good.
Fury of Firestorm says trailer trash? Question mark.
Oh, okay. You want to know about this?
Yeah, what is it about that? I always
this
hear
is
that.
our sound.
Yeah, this is our sound barrier. So there's one star, and there's like a bunch of other ones too. There's a pink one and a black one over there. That's why, actually, I don't know if I really want to mess with this too much, but if you look at this, you see that's just a blanket over a window right there. All right, I'm too cheap to buy a curtain. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Little sneak peek.
So
behind the scenes.
Trailer trash. The trailer. Oh, wrong way. Hold on. Let me. Yeah, there we go. So trailer trash. You know what it is? Shane and I. You know, we've lived in. Actually, Shane's born where we are. We're in Nevada. If anybody actually gives a shit, we're in Nevada, and we grew up next to the largest trailer park in the world.
Yep.
That's not the world.
Literal. We grew up next to it.
We next to it. We weren't in it. We weren't in it.
We're a little higher scale, but
and I was 6 or 7 when I moved here. Shane's born here, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, and it was born here. And we both grew up in mobile homes.
Yep.
Our houses were on jacks and wheels.
Yeah.
Like
so that's kind of where that stemmed from. I don't remember. There was a podcast at one point where
a lot of our stuff comes from old podcasts that we did.
Yeah, where we're just like kind of talking, and then eventually, well, trailer trash can do it, and anyone can do it, I guess.
That's inspiration, dudes. That's inspiration to a lot of channels. Like, if trailer trash can do it, we can do it.
And now we're here.
Soundproofing blankets. Hey, they work, I think.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, we get compliments on our audio every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. That works.
Doesn't sound like we're eating a microphone.
Yeah.
A lot of pop filters.
Yeah, a lot of pop filters. Yeah, so there's your answer to trailer trash. That's what, basically, we grew up in trailers. We have great stories of all the shit we've done with the trailer. I helped with plumbing under his house.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a great story. Just little side story here, because as our show usually goes, Matt is helping me with some plumbing under, and I didn't have a foundation, as we established, built into the ground, so we had to kind of crawl underneath, and I'm like turning on and off the water to the entire house or mobile, and Matt's under there, and he goes, "Okay, I think I got it. Turn the water on." And I go over. Turn the water on. Oh shit! No! Turn it off! Turn it off! And that's what
I'm just getting blasted in the face.
It's not fixed. It's not fixed.
And I'm just trying to get out. I'm just getting soaked with water. The pressure was so high. I don't know how. I felt like I was getting hit by a fire hose.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what happens when you live in a mobile home.
Yes, there's a little bit of backstory there. So RD says people want to have Ben Affleck DH for a Batman film. Laugh out loud, more CGI face. Reeves killed it with apes, but Affleck just needs to train and have movie makeup. Problem solved. What are your guys' kind of take on some of the stuff that's come out?
What do you mean, like the Face app?
Yeah. Well, I think they're talking about the de-aging,
right.
de-aging thing, like Marvel's been doing. And
I don't know. I feel like that would be too expensive to train a whole movie like that.
Well, they CGI Superman's face. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe time.
I know.
But the thing is, to me, with Affleck, he purposely looked older. I mean, for what they put the gray streaks in his hair and everything.
And he had a little bit of the 5 o'clock shadow
and stuff like that. If you shave him up, give him a good baby face thing, throw a couple of lotion on his face and stuff, and get some Just for Men. And younger. Boom, discount trailer style to make him look younger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or what they did with Live by Night. I mean, he looked younger in that one. He looked like about 10 or 15 years younger than what he looked like in Batman v Superman, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
there you go. And they've done that before. I feel like at this point there should just be like a Snapchat filter, that you just swipe as you're making the movie, and then boom, they look younger. No, not a thing. Okay,
filters. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. See, I look younger. # no filter.
Well, see, there's this theory that someone shared with me, and I said this on that DC Film Hub podcast, is that what if it's a detective noir? So we have Ben Affleck narrating. What if it's like a cold case file? That cold case TV show? Yeah. Where they switch back and forth from present day to past. And so we essentially have older Batman, younger Batman, flipping back and forth as they solve this kind of mystery, a personal mystery that he had for a long time. So I was like, oh, I would love that.
Yeah, and the fact that
That
it's
could
so
work.
connected is what I'm really excited about. I love that these films are not shying away. Obviously, the Shazam movie, we saw a bunch of the Easter eggs. I love that they're still trying to connect these, and if they follow that with
It looks like I'm trying to look at Dick. I'm trying to look at your phone, and it's like
you've seen it before.
You're that kind of pals. Nah.
Yeah, exactly. Friends for a long time. But all right, back to Matt Reeves and Ben Affleck. But I am excited. The fact that he's gonna try to keep it connected. To what extent we don't know, but it is pretty cool. It would be pretty cool to see some sort of payoff to some of the Robin stuff. To really any of the backstory to Jared Leto as Joker.
How did he get there? That's what I would love to know. I mean, obviously the Robin thing's a big part of how Affleck's Batman got to his point. When did criminals become like weeds, all that other stuff, with all that stuff he said, about good people have gone bad 20 years plus, yada yada. I would love to see what led up to that. Obviously the Robin is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I would love to see the other things as well. And I was kind of like picturing a little bit from like the Arkham City game. I think it was Arkham City where they had Hush, and he was going around solving all these mysteries and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like maybe it's something like that, because if I remember right, I was reading something where Matt Reeves wants to include a lot of the Batverse in this movie, kind of have a film noir. And that's kind of how you could have a lot of people represented, as that little story, kind of something similar to that anyway. And that's kind of what I was picturing. I could see him going around, fighting off different villains, as like the Riddler and so forth. And I was thinking that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. And then like Chris was talking about with the narration from Affleck's. And I heard some people, and this totally makes sense, is that he's thinking back to an old crime when he was younger to solve the crime that's happening now with him. Like, maybe it all ties in now to something that happened to him back in the day. And I'm like, that would make a lot of sense. And I hope we're not building a movie up, an idea of a movie.
I know. It's like nothing like that.
Yeah, it turns out nothing like that. It would really suck.
Running around, yeah.
It just becomes basically year one again.
I hope not. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Hey CMM, what do you think will happen with X-Men, Dark Phoenix, and the New Mutants and Gambit, etc.?
Do you think do they mean like if it's canceled
after the Disney thing, or?
Yeah, it must be.
Well, I'm pretty sure they confirmed that Dark Phoenix and New Mutants are still a go.
Yeah.
Gambit's gone. Gambit's kiboshed. Well, that's the current Fox iteration anyway of a Gambit. I mean, Disney could take it up.
Well, they can't keep any directors or writers. Well, no, did they keep the writer? I don't remember. I know all they kept was like Channing Tatum.
I know they've gone. They've gone through like 3 directors, several directors already, and I'm pretty sure those are still good to go. So
is it true that Dark Phoenix is no longer called X-Men Dark Phoenix? It's just Dark Phoenix.
I don't know.
I haven't heard that.
Because I remember seeing the poster and the licensing expo, they took off X-Men off the poster, and all it said was Dark Phoenix.
That's interesting.
So people are like wondering, okay, what is that? Because of Disney, or I don't know. I mean, there's a lot more going on Disney and Fox than just Marvel movies. Okay, but there's a small segment that.
We got a couple of videos on that stuff where we go through some major detail on what like Sky Sports and stuff like that. All the things that are going on with that deal. And how
probably more money in sports than actually the.
Comcast wanted it for the broadcasting ability, right? Because of Sky Sports and the control over the sports network in general. Yeah. Because Disney can't acquire Fox Sports because it makes them a monopoly because they own ESPN. Right. So they can't actually get any of that part of the deal. So that's going to stay with Fox. That's still going to be that. But it's so much more to it. The Hulu rights, just an overwhelming presence at the box office now. Yeah. I mean, it really blew my mind when I just kept seeing so many people like,
it's like, well, it's not a really,
Fantastic
Four movie.
Exactly. Well,
it's more than that, Yeah,
and even if it was that black and white, which it isn't, but even if it was, I still don't necessarily think that's a good thing to have all of these characters. And and they're all going to be under the same type of tone, the same approach to every movie, and then people are they'll eat it up. But at the end of the day, and Matt and I have talked about this, that's where the what's the common phrase of comic book, where you get tired of it. See, this is what we edit out of. Out of
and this is why we don't go on video, because then I give Shane a weird look. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Anyways, it's where.
Redundancy?
What
are you talking about? Like redundancy, or
sort of. When people are ultimately gonna get tired of the same bullshit, and eventually they'll get. There's like a common phrase that is used for that. But anyways,
I know what. You know, I totally didn't. I don't remember that word either. Yes. But this is the blogger that the bloggers used all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. That superhero movies eventually
fatigue. Someone
fatigue.
Just put it out on the
chat. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks Abyss. Well, it's thanks Abyss 6297.
Nice, thank you. Holy, thank you. You win the award. Exactly. Superhero fatigue. Ultimately, I feel like you are fast tracking further to that if every superhero movie continues to come out and they look the same, they feel the same, and ultimately they are the same. But people are more excited about having X-Men be a part of the MCU and seeing those interactions than they are at ultimately carrying this as far as it could possibly go. Again, it's not even that black and white. There's a lot that ties into it. Right. A lot of people that are losing jobs and such. Right. But people just tend to look at it, oh, sweet, Wolverine and Captain America or Iron Man, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
It's very short-sighted. Very short-sighted.
Yeah. And the amount of movies they can release will probably dwindle. Same time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Disney's a machine, man. I don't know what they can. They might turn that crap out more than you can accept.
Well, I think they would kind of like wonder if their movies are eating each other in the box office and that. Depending on their timelines and the dates of release and stuff like that.
Well, they did their movies so early this year too. That was the weird thing for me was like Black Panther was in February, Infinity War was in March.
Oh yeah, Gone are the summer movies. You know, like movies can make a lot of money in the beginning of the year and at the end of the year now. It's just everybody's worn out.
Ant-Man and Wasp just happened. And I remember I was talking to somebody at my work that kind of does follow our channel. And he's like, "Oh, you're not talking about Marvel." I'm like, "Marvel's done."
Yeah.
Like they're already done with their movies for the year. Like there's I mean, other than the Russos having to explain every damn detail in their movie that just came out recently. Where I'm waiting for the Screen Rant article on that. I'm like, is the Russos explaining their movie mean that it's a bad movie?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Thank God for the Russos for explaining their movie and going into a beautiful detail. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like Bruce could pick up Thor's hammer. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really,
exactly.
I didn't even know those two characters, those two bad guys, were a couple. I'm like, okay, well, did I need to know that? I was like,
well, it's good to know.
That's cool.
It made it more real to you now.
Yeah.
You can watch it and you'll be like, oh, they were boning.
Oh, they're a couple.
Exactly.
Now I get it.
It's real.
They were using the glaive. No.
Fury of Firestorm. Do you think Zack Snyder will ever direct another DC film?
No.
I hope so, but yeah.
Who knows what the future holds, but maybe not right now. Not in the near future.
I would be surprised if he would want to do business with Warner Brothers anymore.
Well, he's doing Fountain.
I know.
He's doing Fountain. It's really freaking weird to me. None of this shit makes any sense in the aspect of like who is on whose team here. Like Fountainhead is being distributed through WB. He's still a producer on Wonder Woman, on Aquaman, and supposedly Flash.
Right.
Well, apparently Fountainhead is a 12-part miniseries. But The Last Photograph is a movie on Warner Brothers lot. So
it's just like, all right, so these guys, at best, I think we could say, pressured him into a point where he's like, all right, with other family things going on and this, I'm getting out of here. That's the best case scenario, I think, really, of how it went down. And they obviously butchered the hell out of this movie. He knows that because he didn't watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yet he's still working with him. So it makes me wonder, was it really the people that were involved in that? So now that they're gone, he'll kind of come back a little bit.
Hopefully. I would love to see that. I would love to see him continue to be a part of the DC film universe.
But Tony Emmerich is still involved, and he was one of the guys involved in the situation as well. So it's very odd. It's very odd that I would definitely say this: Zack Snyder has some major loyalty to WB.
Yeah.
No matter how much they've dicked him around with like the Watchmen cut, the hell, even the and the Batman versus Superman thing, how that whole thing went down. I mean, they've done a lot to his movies and stuff, and he's still there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that just really shows how
all around nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not enough studios. He sure in the hell ain't going to Disney.
No.
That would be a really cool version of Cinderella, though.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. Could you imagine what the pumpkin would look like?
Oh man.
Oh, watch him make a Star Wars movie.
That would be awesome.
Isn't he a huge Star Wars fan?
That would be
I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make a legit Darth Vader movie.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Just based. Oh.
See, now this is just fan love, right?
Yeah. That would totally be.
Just,
it'll never happen, but this is just all fan.
Yeah.
Fan. Right here.
Yeah.
Spread around.
Yeah. No, I wish like if the DCEU is ever gonna end, and there's this, you know what, come back and do Kingdom Come. I'm like, oh shit, yes.
You know,
do Kingdom Come.
They could give him like the last hurrah, like if whenever the superhero fad, I guess you could say, maybe could come down to an end. Maybe they come out there to give him something different, to give him something maybe people forget. I don't know. We'll see. But it's just, I just don't see him doing directing. I mean, he has his executive positions. How much that actually is hands-on with anything? Who knows? I mean, he could just be getting those roles just because he is the one that casted those people. But he seemed to be more hands-on with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
With Wonder Woman 84, he seems to be, anyway, a little bit more hands-on with that one, from what we can gather, anyway. We don't know shit, really.
No.
Yeah.
This is just more speculation. But
speculation, yeah.
Yeah, I really hope. I hope that he continues to be a part of it. And maybe it's because of the friends that he made with Patty Jenkins and, you know, James Wan and whoever else that have, and obviously the cast. Maybe that's why he's sticking around. I don't know. It is incredible loyalty, because I'd be like, fuck these guys, but you know,
find something. Lionsgate. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just incredible loyalty to WB to keep him around. You got any more questions?
IW is garbage. No, it's not. It's hot garbage.
What?
This is just kind of a back and forth. Their faces, dude. By Mask of Shine.
Dude, I didn't know they were that bad. Dude.
God. Go back.
He couldn't even finish it. Their faces, dude, get the fuck out of here.
Oh shit.
Couldn't even finish his thought. What's that longer one there?
Which company, i.e. Disney, Marvel, or WB DC, would first make a golden move or proposal of making an ultimate crossover of Avengers with Justice League on the movie front, perhaps 10 or 20 years in the future?
So they did that in the comics, and that's when they were really desperate for sales. So if comic book movie
when superhero fatigue,
the fatigue.
Yes.
When that kicks in, I mean, you could have a recreation of what happened in the comics.
Yeah.
Of just trying to build some kind of interest in it. That would be interesting, because I remember like there was a big shit fest just for Who Framed Roger Rabbit when it came to just mixing Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse on the same screen. Could you imagine having Superman and Captain America? How much of a bitch fest they have on that one?
Oh my god!
The egos are even stronger now,
right?
Yeah, and because no one can be wrong, right? You know, no one's allowed. Nothing could be wrong anymore. You have to be always correct, and it's just anyway.
Right.
So I don't know if it could ever fully pull off, but I mean, if WB and Disney get desperate enough,
unfortunately,
maybe animated form,
maybe, that'd be kind of cool.
Maybe some animated movie or something.
I think, unfortunately, to use the wrestling comparison that we have used with WWF at the time and WCW, they're just so adamantly against each other and just trying to be the better to one up that I think that's
Do you think the competition's that strong between these two? I really don't think they give a fuck.
I think with the cast, it is. It's getting there, and based on the move,
like with Anthony Mackie, someone no one gives a shit.
Right.
The worst Avenger. Avengers.
Nor should they. But and the move that WB is trying to make with Justice League, the move that they did make with Justice League to try to copy and replicate, that's kind of where, instead of them just saying, hey, let's do our own thing, who gives a shit about the Mickey Mouse over here, they're constantly like, okay, what can we do to be them? And that's where I feel like there is some sort of, probably not for Disney. Disney's just like, fuck yeah, look at us.
Yeah.
At this point, and really gives a shit about, too much about our films. But, you know, when you look across the Bay or whatever at WB, that's where I kind of get the feeling of they want
DC's Gotham.
Exactly.
And Marvel's
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good reference.
It's just raining on Gotham like a
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Them copying Marvel, that whole thing with Justice League is, to me, it was more just like this blind idea of what is a good superhero movie. That's just what it comes down to. It's just like, oh, we need to have more quips. We need to have more comedic relief. It needs to be shorter. Obviously, these longer movies aren't working or something to that effect. Yeah. I think that's ultimately what it came down. But you think they would realize that crap after Suicide Squad? Like, to me, to try this again with Justice League after what they did with Suicide Squad, you think they would be like, okay, that didn't work. Because they tried to add more comedic elements into it. They cut it down. They cut it short. Took a lot of things out of the trailer. And, yeah, it made a good chunk of change. And the fans, I think, actually liked that movie for the most part. Compared to the critics, but they should have known critically it wasn't going to do any better.
That's the biggest frustration, is that they follow what the critics are saying and listen to that bullshit. And as a lot of people have pointed out, Teen Titans Go, according to Rotten Tomatoes, is a better movie than Infinity War.
What?
It was a great movie. I went and saw it yesterday.
But because Teen Titans Go has a higher Rotten Tomatoes score than Infinity War.
It's like 90 or 89%, and Infinity War has 83 or some shit. Something like that.
They got like a 66% drop in theaters or something like that.
What's that?
It was Teen Titans Go.
I believe it.
People are going to watch Mission Impossible more than Teen Titans Go. My kids didn't care for it. It was supposed to be for kids. My kids were like, whatever.
Oh man,
they didn't get any of the references. That's probably why.
Okay, that might be why. I was laughing my ass off at a lot of them.
I got everything. Yeah,
exactly. I think I was looking at a lot of the backdrop, a lot of the posters and stuff like that to see how many more references I can catch. Yeah. So maybe that has something to do with it. It tried to play in like the Lego Batman realm, but yeah, there was no one in the theater, and this is what third weekend. I think there was maybe 15 people. Wow.
Geez, the first weekend, I think we were only, usually my theaters are always full on that part of the town, city. We're probably only like the 10th people in there, and I was like, this place is dead. Why did I even bother reserving tickets? I could have saved like $4 just there myself. Pick a seat. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, it was a decent movie. If you're a DC fan, I definitely recommend seeing it. Some people are saying that it's better than Deadpool because of the references and stuff. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
But my humor leans more towards the Deadpool side of things. Oh yeah,
the rated R stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But
sex jokes and
adult.
Get us.
Right, exactly. But
it puts you down into a cock ring. That's like one of the best lines I ever heard.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Who knew that would ever be said at Colossus, man? That was fucking great. And then the race jokes too. Yeah. You killed Black Tom. Right. You racist.
Yeah.
Oh, that shit killed me.
Fantastic. The Men in Tights podcast, getting to see your faces actually makes me like you even more, because I feel like I could definitely hang out with you too.
Oh, man.
Oh, yes. Cool. I don't know if you
We're helping self-esteem.
Exactly.
We're so like, fucked up.
I can do this.
These guys have been doing a show for this.
There's people behind that voice.
Yeah, but apparently we don't look anything like what people thought. I guess respecting blonde, luscious locks, hair.
Well, they didn't mean it in a. I'm sure they meant like, oh, they got. It's you guys look better than what they thought.
Oh yeah, possibly.
You got to think about it that way.
One of my favorite comments of all time was we did one of our things with Jay Oliva's tweets towards Bob Chipman. And we did that video, and somebody left a comment. I don't remember who it was, but it was hilarious because they're like, "Oh, you can never trust a fat guy with a beard," and it's like like in their 30s, and I'm just like sitting behind the screen. I'm like,
hey, turn out to attack this person.
I was like, did you see me? How the hell did you see me? It was like some comment like that. They were trying to talk shit about Bob Chicken, but I was like, you can never trust a fat guy with a beard or something like that. I was like, shit, better start shaving.
Think behind your
right. Fury of Firestorm, lesser known superheroes that you'd like to see them make a movie of.
Oh.
Lesser known superhero.
A Blank Man reboot. That's what I like to see. And sequel. Please.
Well, see, man, I don't know how lesser known you would want to go. I mean, because this isn't that lesser known, but I would just like them to do a proper Green Lantern Corps movie. Mm-hmm. But I would like them to venture way off into the Black Lanterns, the White Lanterns, the Blue ones.
Oh,
that's pretty lesser known.
All into space.
I would just love to see that whole cosmic realm with the Black Lanterns, the Death ones, and stuff like that. I think it would be fantastic. Oh God, what's that?
I'm sorry. Sorry, don't lose that thought. But Fury of Firestorm said Nevada trailer trash is different than Alabama trailer trash. Teeth. Well, thank you.
No, I only got 152. Well, Fury Firestorm was just like,
God, he's on it.
But hilarious. I would just like to see. He's on fire. Right?
He's on fire. Oh.
But yeah, no, I just love to see them venture more into that. The Yellow Lanterns, obviously. I would just like to see the whole cosmic realm get opened up, and them just show cosmic police and show the interactions with the different lanterns. Bring in different lanterns too. It doesn't just have to be like a Hal Jordan's drugstore. It could be a Kyle Rayner, or it could be Guy Gardner or something. Even somebody else. There's I always forget the name, but there's the fucking Swirl too. Right. Look at that ass. But I would like to see more interactions with those characters and stuff like that. And I don't know. I would love to see that. I just love them to open up that whole realm and just go nuts with the Green Lantern Corps, because there's so much there. There's so much there when you really open it up.
What about you, Chris? Do you have like?
Well, they're making it. Well, we haven't heard much from it, but Ava DuVernay with her New Gods. I was like, New Gods. That would open up your cosmic realm. Actually, that would totally bring up in things people don't even know of. Mr. Miracle, Big Barda, all those guys. I mean, that High Father. Like, what the hell? That's gonna be like some Jack Kirby shit all over the screen. But depending on how she makes it, I don't know how much. I know everybody's got that Wrinkle in Time stuck in their heads. I still haven't watched it. Have you guys watched that?
No, Oprah's in it. I'm good.
Okay. I was like, maybe
that's all I needed. Yeah, I mean, there's what about you?
There's a lot of characters. God.
Yeah.
I'm running through so many in my head right now. I can't even.
You could do a Detective Noir, The Question. I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
We could do that.
That would be pretty freaking sweet. That would be. You could do an alt world thing. Have freaking Rorschach in The Question.
Oh man,
because they're pretty much based off the same idea.
Yeah.
I think they got inspiration from one of them. Got inspiration from the other, if I remember right, in the comics.
Wasn't Alan Moore? Alan Moore had inspiration from, or maybe it was either. Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember who got inspiration from what.
Yeah.
One of those two was based off of one of them. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure The Question was first, and then Rorschach came in later.
Yep.
Another one on fire. They should do a Marvel DC crossover with only Black Widow and Mira, rated NC-17.
Oh,
actually,
the redheads on fire.
We were talking about doing this one time, and I don't know how serious it ever got, but we were gonna do a comparison, a review of the Avengers porn and the Justice League porn. We were talking about that briefly. Like we were which one? I really like this point right here, where Black Widow just went, and we were gonna do like this whole thing. And I remember originally, actually, I briefly told you for this video we were gonna joke around and have blow up dolls there.
And blow-up dolls are pretty expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive as hell.
I didn't want to bring mine over. So.
Yeah. I don't want yours here.
Sitting in this chair.
My house.
You mean our studio?
Your studio.
Yes, the studio with the closet.
Action
Oh my
figure
God.
world. What do you guys think about Red Letter Media calling release the Snyder Cut movement weirdos?
We are.
Oh.
I think every fandom is weird. I really don't know. It's this weird thing where like all of a sudden fandoms are like scrutinized now.
Yeah.
It's like
the term fanboy.
Oh, you're a Snyder fanboy.
Yeah.
Your point?
Right.
Yeah. So
Like-
is that supposed to be?
Yeah. Is that bad?
Like, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I really do like this
Yeah.
movie. I also really like Martin Scorsese movies too.
Yeah.
Like, some of my favorite Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like those too. I like all. I've watched all Quentin Tarantino movies. I guess I'm a Quentin Tarantino fanboy. You fucking
Hashtag Tarantino fanboy.
Yeah.
Hashtag Scorsese fanboy. Hashtag.
Yeah. But I do love. I don't understand that stuff. Like, yeah, it's people that really want a movie that I guess other people just don't. So it's hard to understand.
Yeah, pretty much. I never take offense to that stuff. I mean, ultimately, if we're comic book fans,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
if we're comic book fans, if we're all the stuff that Matt and I watch and talk about, we've been called way worse than weirdos at some point in our life.
Oh,
so I don't take offense to any of that.
That one guy called us a cunt. What is it? Oh, that was great because he called us deranged cunt, and I was like,
just one.
Just one. I'm like, it's cunts. There's two of us.
Get it right.
And it's like
that made me
the one guy said it doesn't exist, but his tag name was Abe Lincoln, and I put no, it's Hey Blinken.
Yes.
And I drop it a minute tight, so you know what I'm talking about. Like that's how you handle trolls. You just fucking go with it. Just look at their name and find something goofy about them.
I don't know.
That's what I don't know. I don't get the desire to try to shit on somebody, but that Red Letter Media, I don't know exactly a lot about them, but I'm pretty sure they're like huge Star Wars boner heads. I'm pretty sure they like. I'm pretty sure I did hear a guy. He did like a 4-part series on like why the Star Wars movies, the prequels, sucked or something. Like, I mean, just detailed as hell. But yet he can't. He's going to call people that just want to see a Justice League,
right? Exactly.
A proper Justice League movie weirdos.
Yeah.
Yeah. They definitely have some kind of weird bully mentality. That's for sure. Maybe they were bullied when they were younger.
I don't know. I mean, in some sense, we're all bullied. I think Shane has a great story. He got pantsed.
We'll find that episode. Yeah, I thought I was pretty cool talking to some girls in like third or fourth grade, and they were on the swings, and all I remember is like talking to them. And obviously this is when you really like start getting into girls and stuff, and then someone comes up behind me, I do them all. I'm like, oh shit! Oh man!
Oh man!
They did not talk to me after that. So their imagination why.
I thought I was gonna end up with and they married me, or one of the girls married me.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's how you get introduced.
That's how I met my wife. No.
Exactly.
Just dangling there, talking to her while she was on the swing. Good breeze comes by. That's the other thing. People need to have fun with this stuff too, man. I see some people on Twitter and stuff. Even if you are a fan of this stuff, don't take so much shit so seriously. Yeah. Just have fun. Have jokes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. I saw somebody said that Chris and Film Junkie are like the voice of the Snyder Cut movement, but we're the jokes.
Really?
Comic movie Marx is the joke?
Jokes, yeah.
Really?
Okay.
I didn't see that.
It was in one of our notifications.
Accurate.
It was like, Chris, it had you and Dave from Film Junkie tag, and then it said, and then comic movie Marks are the jokes or something like that. Really? I was like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
You lighten up the mood. There you go.
Yeah, dude, that's what we're here for, right?
Lighten up.
Anything else good?
Exactly. Just a lot of people throwing out their ideas of. Someone said, "Let's get a Joel Schumacher DC directed film, Mr. Freeze, Ice Age cometh."
That's cool.
I've been 1697 as well. I would bow down to Zack Snyder like Triple H bows down to Ric Flair.
Yeah.
They should make a Lobo movie in space. That would be cool.
The Lobo is apparently going to be part of Krypton now. So now we got to actually watch Krypton.
Yeah.
We were doing reviews on it,
but it just got.
It was.
I'm sure it got better later on, but it was really hard to get into those first episodes of Krypton. It really was.
It doesn't pick up till like episode 4 or 5.
Oh shit, that's right when we cut off.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Like it was like oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. And then when you get more into the story and how you subverts your expectations of what's going to happen. It's like an Elseworlds thing going on, and you hear things about it coming in, other characters from why does that character exist right now? This is before Superman.
Yeah.
But it makes it interesting. Yeah. So
it feels like they're just chucking stuff in there because they can.
Yeah.
At some point,
when you're dealing with time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Did you watch the full first season?
Yeah, I did. I actually enjoyed it. Yeah.
Okay.
It took me a while, but I would be working. I would have it on my other computer, and I'm just listening to it. And I think it was about episode 5. I'm like, well, it was getting interesting. And I found myself looking at this, and it was like, oh.
Okay.
So, but it takes a while.
I still got it saved on the DVR.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh yeah.
It's still taped. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I still love using that terminology. No one has a clue when we're talking about when you say taped.
Except I one of the reasons, Chris, your kids might not have liked it, same thing with mine, they probably were completely confused for Teen Titans Go, is the fact that they have a VHS in that multiple times. And they're probably like,
I never thought about that.
Yeah, I was laughing as soon as Cyborg pulls out the VHS. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, they're probably like, what is that, Daddy?
So they knew their audience. They knew the age level of who was going to be watching this.
I think it was more for adults.
Maybe.
Yeah, just some references.
I was at a party yesterday, and this one girl, she knew what a cassette was. She was like 15.
Oh,
and she knew what a cassette was, and she was like, I know what that is.
Oh.
And I'm
so
like,
special.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
How do you rewind it, huh? Get a pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did you get charged for not rewinding it when you returned that fucker?
Hey, we got Chris the Cuss.
Yeah.
He's always so subtle on the show. I can see that at some point. Yeah. Chris goes like, and he stops, and then he's so PG.
We found his button, Blockbuster. It's like those sons of bitches.
Well, on my show, I know my niece in Japan is watching, and I think his sister-in-law would say, "Hey, just letting you know, your niece is watching." So, all right, for her, I'd not swear anymore. But the beginning, the first videos, I would swear, but afterwards, when I heard that.
Yeah.
We got our first couple ones too. Yeah, we were saying all kinds of shit.
Yeah,
we've actually calmed down.
Yeah. That's just to monetize though. That's not necessarily.
We're not even monetizing.
Not there yet.
YouTube hates us. I've officially confirmed now that if you're a big Simpsons fan, this will make sense. But we're like officially the Poochie of the Star Wars of the Snyder community.
Yeah.
Do you remember Poochie from Simpsons at all, Chris?
Yes.
Just the guy in the background that ruins the whole show.
Yes.
That's us. We're the Poochie. And then we're eventually going to get killed and go back to our planet.
Yeah.
Because,
exactly.
Oh, man. It's just like YouTube has taken 3 months now? They're still
processing. I think so, yeah. Still processing or monetizing.
Yeah, it's like it'll be done in a week. And then I see the verbiage change in a month. And then I'm like,
JK.
I'm like, how about this year? It's going to be the next one. Yeah.
Don't get, just keep making it, and eventually you'll get there. I mean, as long as your passion shows it, that's what you love to do. That's how I started. I didn't get a dime, but I just wanted to talk to some people.
Exactly.
Just talk what your thoughts are, and eventually just get there.
Yeah, us was the same thing almost. Like we would go to the gym. Yes, I went to the gym. We would go to the gym, and right when Batman versus Superman came out, we were we would talk back and forth about the movie and stuff, and we didn't understand all the negativity towards it. We're like, it's not like the greatest, the theatrical version. We're like, it's not the greatest thing of all time, but it's just it's not as bad as people were saying it is. And then when Civil War came out, Shane and I are sitting there watching Civil War, and we saw all the people bitching about Batman killing people, and then like right off the bat, Falcon ends up like bombing like 4 guys with missiles, like just blowing them to shit.
Walks away cracking a joke.
Yeah, making a joke, and we're like,
wait a minute.
Huh? We're like looking at that, and then we're in the gym, and we're like, man, this just doesn't make sense. Like, what is going on? Like, this has got like supposedly a 90-something% on Rotten Tomatoes. Civil War does, and Batman vs Superman sitting at 20, and we're talking about how much the movies are in similarities too, as well. Like the tie-in of the similarities is just big, and we're like, what is this? And then we start talking about doing a podcast, and we're like, and we kind of like ignored it for like a week, and then Shane looks at me, he's like, "Are you serious about doing a podcast?" Like we just kept seeing it more and more, and we're like, this is screw it, let's do it.
Talk about it.
Because it just didn't make sense. Like we were just we felt like we were in this little area, this little world where, like on Elseworld, like we were the only ones that just seemed to like, this is almost the same movie. Like they're not that much different. It's just tonally there's a little bit of difference, but there's no way this movie is as bad as people are saying. There's no way this movie is really as good as people are saying.
Right.
It's just this weird thing. We were just flabbergasted by the difference.
Yeah.
Any good questions?
Doesn't look like it, but for some reason I may have been like, it's some people were being hidden or someone timed out. But if I did that, that was totally by accident. I had my elbow sitting on my phone. And then Abyss, it looked like his comment was deleted. I still watch my VHS tapes. That's badass. I'll try to make sure that that is not deleted anymore.
Oh.
Yeah. Oops.
What are you doing? Our one live stream and you're fucking
I know. I just like looked down. I'm like, oh shit, someone was hidden. Yeah, I don't know. Anywho,
okay.
Technical difficulties.
I think we'll just call it there, Chris. Yeah. I mean,
awesome.
Thank you very much again for your time and coming on here with us, schlubs.
Yeah,
and stuff.
You're very cool guys, man. I seriously could probably hang out with you guys in real life.
Hell yeah. You're the one person to tell us we're cool.
Yeah. That means a lot.
You know, we just saw it a lot in the comments. There's a lot of people that have been saying, like, you know, there needs to be more tie-ins with everybody and try to build a bigger crew, I guess. And you know, some people were like talking about, I saw some comments anyway of us, you, Film Junkie, Film Gob, and like Fiona and some other people as well, Lantern as well, all talking about like try to do like one big podcast or something. Like I saw a couple comments on that, like everybody's trying to get everybody together. I think that'd be a complete clusterfuck, and
that'd be awesome.
And the time zones, I think, on all of that, because I'm pretty sure Fiona is in China.
Yeah,
China.
Yeah.
It's
so
like
she's
what,
probably
tomorrow now.
Like 24 hours ahead of you.
Yeah,
and that would be. No, anyway. But I'm sure the time, the zoning would be like ridiculous. But I figured this was a good step.
Yeah, absolutely.
Towards trying to get everybody together and make some pretty sweet content and talk about stuff that we all like to talk about
and show our beautiful faces.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is the premiere of your guys' faces.
Exactly.
Like, that's your. Is this gonna be your thumbnail? Your thumbnail is gonna be you just
hell
yes! Are you kidding me? Hell yes!
Hell no! We're gonna put some good looking motherfuckers on.
We'll put some emojis, or I'll put Henry Cavill's face.
There you go. There we go.
Oh, dude, CGI out your mustache.
Yeah, my entire beard. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, thank you, Chris. So this was a lot of fun. We talked a lot. So maybe next time you can talk a little bit more and we won't cut you off.
No
worries. I'm good. Yeah, maybe I'll invite you on my show and then
and
then
I'll maybe
promote you guys.
You see that? He's like, nah. Yeah, maybe.
That's like a political thing that you say. Yes,
I will.
Oh no, dude, either way, it'd be great. These are just fun, man. Podcasts with people are just awesome. And so we finally got it set up for liveness stuff. Somewhere. If that's a word. It's a trend.
Thank you to everyone who commented and added questions.
I think we had more than 10 people.
Yeah.
And I was like blown away.
Well, it might have been like 5 people who continued to comment.
I started sharing it on Twitter, so I was like trying to see if anyone can get more people.
Nice.
Oh, well, see, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, we don't know jack shit about social media. We don't know nothing, man. Like, I'm still trying to figure out Vero and stuff and like Twitter. I don't know shit. I'm just not very savvy on that stuff. So That's why you let the people that know what the hell they're doing.
Exactly. We make it work.
Yeah. we trip and fall. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's how it all starts, man.
Exactly.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks again,
Awesome.
man.
Yeah, thank you.
And hope to hear from you again sometime.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, how do we end this? Just hit stop recording. Okay.
You start. See you guys.
All right.
Take care.
Man.
Bye bye.
Peace out. Aloha.